Confused.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Something Super Podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Mark.
And guys, we are hosting our friend Sal again. Sal, say what's up.
Yeah, what's going on, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be back again for round two.
So we had Sal on for our Spider-Man No Way Home breakdown. So it only seems fair to have him on for our Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer breakdown. I know this is a huge anticipation waiting type game movie for me. Like, I have so many theories. We have the What If series to bounce off of. We have Spider-Man No Way Home, and then everything that's happened since the Doctor Strange movie has come out. So, Mark, I know you've got some big ideas and big thoughts based on the trailer and your fan theories for the movie. So let's see how it's going to shape the MCU.
So for me personally, I think a lot of people now are saying, okay, we're getting Doctor Strange Protector and Strange Supreme, which are probably going to be on opposing sides like they were in in the What If series. Like, they have opposing views on how things should be. One obviously suffered tragic loss over and over again. One suffered victory over and over and over again. But for me personally, I don't think it's going to be, we see Doctor Strange, he goes to the countryside and he visits Wanda and asks her for help. Now he says, she's like, I don't know, like Westview. He's like, I don't care about Westview. Like, that shit's done. Like, we're moving on, man. That was Wednesday. This is Thursday. Like, but what I'm thinking is that then later on, we see Wanda in the full Scarlet Witch outfit where she's using the dark magic. You see the black fingertips. So I'm wondering if we're going to get Strange Supreme and his version of Scarlet Witch, which could be like a Dark Phoenix type of a character, darker. She's kind of like just fully embodied, because the last time we saw her, she was reading the Darkhold, which anybody who knows anything about Marvel, like, that's top 3 no-nos. Like, you don't touch the book, and you sure as hell don't read the book. So I think we could get Strange. I think initially we could get Doctor Strange and Wanda versus Strange Supreme, and they're going to outmatch him. So then he goes and finds another stronger version of her that's evil because she's a Nexus being. And then we have these multiverses. So in every single multiverse that we're going to see, which could be just 3 universes, it could be 1,000.
Yep.
She becomes Scarlet Witch. Now, she doesn't always become a good Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is where, rather than no more mutants, give us all mutants. And this is where this is how we can introduce now the X-Men, which, Sal, I know you were saying, like, you were kind of curious how they could bring them in and where they could bring them in, and why not a reality changing sorceress?
I just got the chills when you said X-Men.
So, like I said, I wasn't kidding. Like, my theory, if correct, which I doubt it is, because, you know, I give what the fans want theories, not what we can do in reality theories.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I mean, like, we see Shu McGorath, we see America Chavez in the trailer. Like, there's gonna be a lot of new characters. And Steve, maybe that train will start rolling, man.
Hey, I'm here for it. And, you know,
Maybe
obviously
it's really
Mephisto is tied to Wanda. Obviously, we know, with her kids, and I'm cool with that. Whether that actually happens or not, I have my doubts for the MCU currently. But, you know, again, we'll see. I will absolutely update the entire world when I find the Mephisto reference in Multiverse of Madness. Do not worry. So, Sal, what do you think? I mean, we've all seen the trailer, and for those of you that have watched anything that it even slightly refers to Multiverse of Madness, you kind of know what we're talking about here. So, Sal, give me a little bit your thoughts and feelings on this trailer. Where are we going to go?
So when I saw it in theaters after the Spider-Man post-credit scene, you know, I noticed immediately the octopus things coming out of Doctor Strange. So I immediately thought, like, okay, boom, what if? So we're going to get maybe some drawbacks, some callbacks to What If Doctor Strange, and maybe it's going to be, you know, him trying to maybe it starts off just in an alternate universe of, like, him actually trying to save what's the girl's name? I always forget her name. Christine, saving her over and over and over again, and maybe we'll get to see, like, how he turns bad.
Well, you
And
do
then
see her in a wedding dress and Strange at a wedding, and that was one of the clips from the What If series.
right, and I think he looked kind of younger too, so I don't think that's like the MCU's original timeline. And also I think that, you said it, Mark, how he kind of just goes and it's like, yeah, listen, I don't even care about Westworld about Westview right now. Like, this is way more important. So I think that Wanda's going to be I think she's going to be, pivoting between that dark magic and what's good. Because she's always battled with that her whole MCU career, I feel like. So I think that, she might do something bad. And then who's the guy? I always forget his name too. The guy that left the Order. Mordo. I think that he is originally going to be a bad guy in the movie, but then the audience is going to agree with his like morals. Kind of like how Thanos, like he was the bad guy, but like in reality, it's like, he was kind of right, but no, he's still bad. I think it's going to be like more like, okay, I can actually see how Mordo is like coming from kind of thing.
So you see Mordo having more of like a kind of like a conscious kind of like reasoning for what he's doing, not just like a Green Goblin, like I just want chaos and destruction.
Yeah, like because he said, like the worst person is you, or like you are actually like the danger of the timeline. So maybe like his motives are right, but the way he goes about it's really, really wrong.
Yeah.
Well, he could also be not referencing him, but referencing Strange Supreme.
Right. Yeah. And you've seen it too. Like the trailers nowadays, like because they're so open, they're on Twitter in 4 seconds, they're on Instagram, they're on, every Snapchat, they're everywhere. They like to change like pivotal points of trailers. So like in Spider-Man, when they say like Wong, like his lines are completely different. So maybe they just do that to throw us off, and that'll be something completely different when the movie drops.
Something I forgot to mention too in the No Way Home episode. How about them dropping that Wong is Sorcerer Supreme, not Benedict? So my question now is, when Agatha or Harkness was talking to Wanda and says you're destined to be stronger than Sorcerer Supreme, was she not talking about Doctor Strange, but maybe talking about Wong? Because that would make sense too. Like, of course she's fucking stronger than Wong. Like, Wong ain't no pushover, but he ain't Doctor Strange.
Correct. So I mean, it's very possible, but putting that into perspective, does that also mean that she's not going to be stronger than Doctor Strange?
But that's the thing. If Doctor Strange, she didn't say you'll be stronger than Stephen Strange. You'll be stronger than Doctor Strange.
Sorcerer
she said
Supreme.
Sorcerer Supreme. So if he never holds that title, then
so
he's kind of eliminated. And I'm not saying that. I mean, I will argue, Steve, night and day, that there is no one stronger in the MCU than Wanda. Wanda is hands down.
Maybe Agatha does. Like, maybe she doesn't have the knowledge that Wong is now the Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, like maybe the last Sorcerer Supreme she knew was Stephen Strange. So like,
that's what
again,
I'm
we could
curious of.
Yeah, we could pick that apart all day. I am definitely looking forward to, like you said, when Mordo says that Doctor Strange is the most dangerous person in the multiverse, I don't think he's saying that Strange Supreme is the most dangerous person in the multiverse, because Strange Supreme is not how he started. If you watch What If, he starts out as regular Doctor Strange. He's just him. And then he's like, well, you know what? I want to try to change this. So he goes back and does it and fucks up and does it a million times over and fucks it up every single time, because it is an absolute point in reality. We've had that talk when we did the What If series. But I think because he knows the path that he's willing to go down because of his passion, that's why he makes himself the most dangerous person.
Now, I'll have to go back and rewatch it. Does he say he's the most dangerous person in the multiverse or to the multiverse?
Okay, well, I mean, to the multiverse, you're probably right.
Because if he says to the multiverse, obviously, Mordo has knowledge of whatever Doctor Strange, what they were both from Comitage, and they both read the books in the library and everything. So he could know of a multiverse. Now, if he knows of the multiverse and he sees how Stephen Strange is here, like you said, he is passionate. Now, what happens when passion becomes an obsession? And I think that's what Mordo is seeing. So I'm not saying, I don't think he's directly referencing Strange Supreme. I think he's referencing the idea that Doctor Strange could become
exactly. And
Strange Supreme.
Yeah, I think that's
like, I agree with what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the route that they're going to take it, because I don't think at that point in the movie, Strange Supreme exists. I think it's very much like the trailer that we got for No Way Home, where Wong's like, don't cast that spell. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he kind of like brushes him off. And he's going to say the same thing. Like, oh, you're the most dangerous person to the multiverse. And he's like, no way. And then he might go have that conversation with Wanda. And then he realizes that he's become obsessed with saving Christine. And then he becomes Strange Supreme and all that. Like, I love it. I'm here for all of it. America Chavez, I want to see how they tie her into this. Because she's a character that if you're a comic reader, you might know about. But this is her first instance in the MCU that we are, woefully aware of.
It's her debut.
Yeah. So like where does that tie in? Who is
Honestly, we're getting a ton of new characters in the MCU across the board. Like, it's crazy how many people they're like, oh yeah, they're actually here the whole time. They're here the whole time. They're here the whole time too. Like,
yeah, that is my only, again, obviously they can't in 2008, they couldn't be like, all right, guys, we're going to release like 1,000 new superheroes in the next 2 years. Just like buckle up and get ready for it. I understand the concept, but It does beg the question, like, what the fuck were you doing the whole time? Like, and let's even just use Netflix as like the Defenders. Okay. They exist in New York. What were you doing?
But the Defenders was a garbage series.
I know. I'm just saying, like, any Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil, like any of those characters themselves, like where were you during like the events in New York?
I mean, to be fair, what would Charlie Cox really be able to do against flying aliens? Like,
run. In all fairness,
what would Daredevil really be able to do? Like,
Hawkeye with a stick and a string.
But he was on the team.
I know.
He got the call.
He was grandfathered in then.
Yeah, he was cool.
Like he got the call.
Hawkeye's the OG. That's why I love him.
So I got a question for you too.
Go for it.
With Loki being out, and we know that there's the timelines currently being destroyed or deteriorated in some fashion. Do you think we're going to get any kind of cameo or nods to Loki?
I would hope
not yet.
So I think we're going to get a nod to it. You have to. So even in No Way Home, the
character
skies,
of Loki or the actions that happen in
like
the series
the actions.
I would say the actions.
So see, I think we might see a Loki or see a couple Lokis, but I don't think we're actually going to see any of the aftermath of Loki until the Ant-Man movie. I think Ant-Man, you'll get a lot of cause and effect of it. So this one, I think it's going to be like, this one could end with that kind of looming thing, but like we haven't seen any or even heard of anything of Kang since. Like, I know Spider-Man, and Spider-Man No Way Home was a year before Hawkeye. Hawkeye was, I believe, after Shang-Chi and Eternals, I believe. I haven't seen Eternals, so Steve, you have to fact check me on that. But
dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just like,
but like with the layout of it
is a standalone movie.
Because like, here's my thing. Like, will this take place like Spider-Man did? Like, is this gonna take place right after WandaVision? Because if so, that's only like 4 or 5 months after Endgame.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that would happen before Loki even happened. But Loki goes on throughout all of time. So the question is, when would the reality of Loki's events really start having that effect? Was that part of the reason why the multiverse almost split in No Way Home and we got all these weird ass people? Was it not only because of the spell? Was it because maybe the spell tapped into that timeline that's now fractured, and that fractured the spell?
This just goes back to Marvel. Their writers are geniuses because they threw a fan favorite, Spider-Man, already at 1 billion sales worldwide, right?
Right.
Just completely shadowing the fact that we have probably one of the most pivotal points that we've seen in the MCU being Doctor Strange 2. Because like you said, it could be X-Men, it could be a Dark Wanda. There's so many options as to what they can do. And nobody's even talking about it. Like, we're talking about it, but you don't see it on Twitter. I don't see it on Instagram. I don't see it on Snapchat. I don't see it anywhere. There are so many options, and we have that trailer that still leaves a trillion questions.
Right.
Yeah.
And like we know Strange Supreme's in it, but like to what extent? Is he just like a quick,
Right.
hey, I'm here for a half hour, they get rid of him, and then the rest of the time they're trying to figure out how to deal with Shumagorath? Because you see him in the trailer too, fighting Doctor Strange and America. Or maybe that's just like, hey, we got sucked in this one reality where we fight him for 5 minutes and then we get sucked into another reality where now we got to deal with maybe like a Kang variant or a Loki or something. Or okay, now we're gonna get sucked here and have to fight this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. And
yeah, like, do we see the Watcher? Like, do we see him in his MCU appearance?
That'd be
like,
fucking great.
You know
Right,
what I mean?
and-
Like, you fight. Like, do you fight between the timelines? Like, who
and
knows?
you know that he actually is gonna play the live action version. I forget the actor's name, but the one that voiced him in What If is going to be playing him eventually down the timeline. So it's like,
So
so much that they could do.
I would beg to argue that the effects have already been seen and it was in No Way Home, because when the sky opened up and like there was the tears in the quote unquote fabric of reality,
right?
It was purple, just like it was for Loki.
Right.
Now, this is my stretch reference here, but did we not see variants? We saw a variant.
You definitely
Peter
saw
Parker.
a Rhino variant.
I mean, hell, you saw a Peter Parker variant, you saw a Rhino variant. I mean, you could even go as far as to say you saw an Electro variant, because he didn't look the same. But that being said, we know that the events happen. They don't necessarily know why, which is why Doctor Strange goes to Wanda and says, "What do you know about like the multiverse?" Because even he's not like entirely sure, and he knows she's fucking read the Darkhold. I'm sure like a light went off in his fucking office and it was like, someone just opened that book. Don't do it. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of shit that could potentially be happening. I don't think we're going to get like a Loki appearance, but Doctor Strange knows who Loki is. He literally made him fall for 30 minutes. Like, he knows who the man is. So he could easily reference Loki by name, but I also think that there's going to be like there was an event. He may not know Loki caused it, but he knows there's an event that caused this rupture in the timeline and all of these branches. And because when you watched Loki, there was that single circular timeline. It would start and it would stop. I mean, it technically never ending, but like it had a start and an end point, and it would, the second it ended, it restarted. And it was always going to be the exact same thing over and over again, which is what the TVA was made for. But the second that Loki fucked that up and Sylvie, killed the version of Kang that we have, it split into what looked like, a set of blood vessels. Like, it's all over. Nothing is the same anymore. Everything could be different, and there's a million different realities, which I think is cool.
Right. That's why there's 3 things you don't talk about: politics, religion, or multiverse theory.
Goddamn right.
Because literally, this is where it goes. All 3 of us have given 3 outstanding explanations, all of which could be plausibly true, and yet none of them are probably true or bits and pieces.
Yeah, we're gonna go back. We're gonna have a podcast, a year from now, or 6 months from now, and we're gonna piece all of what we said, and then like talk about how we were so wrong after Doctor Strange was out.
Oh, absolutely.
Or we're going to cut all the pieces and splice together all the pieces we had right and talk about how right we were.
There you go.
Just cut out all the wrong ones.
That has been, I mean, that's where like the whole Mephisto joke started with. It was like, I was so heavy on Mephisto, and then it was like so wildly wrong because of WandaVision. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to be wrong all the time. And I'm just going to say Mephisto with everything. And that's where we are right now.
What happens when we finally get Mephisto? Then who is it?
Then I'm going to go back. I'm going to re-listen to every episode, and I'm going to cut together all the shit that I was right about. Fuck you guys.
4-year-long project.
God damn right. Yeah. 6 years later, I'm going to be like, yeah, you guys remember when I said Mephisto was in the MCU? I was right.
That's like me saying Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars universe. Like, well, we know he's out there. We just don't know fucking where.
Yeah, he's here. I just don't know how he's
going to see a Red Devil in the Boba Fett show, and he's going to be like, Mephisto, I knew it.
They're tied together. Mephisto is existing across universes.
Yeah, we also haven't seen White Vision yet again.
No, I don't think we're going to see him until, I would say, potentially Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. But
if Wanda's there, I could see him
coming back
and seeking her out.
Well, now that she has like I want to call it the ultimate power. Like, there's nothing that really stops her. She is all powerful. She could realistically make White Vision into regular Vision again. I mean, I know that's not like technically canon, but they could do it. The MCU is kind of on their own
But
page with shit.
the only thing I would say is like for her magic to work, does she actually need to know the ins and outs? Because like that was a vibranium body. So like does
No.
she need to know like the actual like chemical makeup and breakdown of the material to make him a new body? Or do you think it's just like
she's gonna keep the body. No, his body's gonna stay the same. All she's doing is replacing his memories. She's just gonna
he already
flood
did
his
that.
well then
He
she's
already
gonna
has his memories back. Remember that was
and
the
she's
whole
gonna change the way he looks
or,
from white vision to red vision. And that's I mean, she can do
I-
that too, because she's
the
reality.
ship of this. What is it? Ship
Theseus.
of
Theseus.
Theseus. Yeah, like that was the whole. They merged right there, and he kind of
Yeah,
unlocked all
when
the
he
actual
touched
memory.
he touched the his version of the soul stone.
Yeah,
I have a stupid theory with the white vision. I
me.
think that you know how
no
they're
theory
kind
is
of
stupid in Marvel.
yeah, right. I think that they're kind of setting up, down the line for with along with the multiverses, like the Young Avengers / the Dark Avengers. So
Mhm.
like I know it was the Super Soldier's grandson
Mhm.
in Falcon Winter Soldier. You got Yelena, all these people that are younger. Technically,
Red Hulk.
yeah, Red Hulk will be in there. Like, so I don't know if they're
Well,
gonna do
no, I'm sorry,
young.
that's Thunderbolts, not
The
Dark
Thunderbolts.
Avengers.
I don't know if they're gonna do young or if they're gonna do dark, but I think
They could do both.
Vision, right? They could do both.
Ironheart.
Ironheart, you have Iron
Stature.
Patriot, or who's the Captain America guy?
Falcon.
No.
Oh, you're talking about the grandson from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, but
Or are
then
you
who's
talking about his military buddy that
the
was
new
fixing
Falcon.
his tech? The new Falcon.
the guy who was supposed to be Captain America, but like isn't Captain America?
Oh, you're talking
Isaiah
about
Bradley?
I
U.S.
can't think of his
agent.
name.
U.S. agent.
U.S. agent. Great. So like all these
That's-
people are coming in. So maybe they like Vision might get roped up with them in a sense.
Yeah.
Because like we the consumer, we know Vision. We're getting these new characters. Maybe like he kind of bands them all together in some way.
And we know
he
Val's
might be
recruiting.
their I say he might be their voice of reason, like their conscience.
You got Val recruiting too. So
Yeah, well, so that your Dark Avengers are going to be your U.S. agent. You're going to have the Red Hulk.
Yelena.
You're going to have Yelena. You're going to have White Vision. But then you got the Young Avengers, where you have like Isaiah Bradley's grandson. You have Kate Bishop. You have
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales. I mean, hell, you could technically have your like if you want to call them the Teen Titans. I mean, Tom Holland could be the person that sort of sets all that up. But you have
She-Hulk?
the kid. Yeah, you have She-Hulk, you have Ironheart, you have Hartley, who was the kid from Iron Man 3, who was at the funeral
yeah,
in Endgame.
yeah.
Like, you have all of these people who Shuri, I mean, like, we have the technology, we can build it. Like, that's where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many factions that they could build too. Like,
they like I said, they have stories forever.
And that's where, I mean, with this movie, like, I really hope. See, this is one of those movies where, like, I don't care if it's a shitstorm of characters like Spider-Man 3 was.
But
Like-
so, are you talking about Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah.
I think it almost has to be. It's
And
madness.
that's what I mean. Because, like, Spider-Man 3, like, I went there and I was like, all right, I want to see mainly Venom versus Spider-Man. Like, that's what you're building is Venom versus Spider-Man. But then they threw in Sandman, and now you're throwing Hobgoblin, and now all of a sudden Hobgoblin's a good guy, and Sandman's kind of ethically, like, moral again. And I'm like, all right, this is a shitstorm. But here, literally, you could have him, like, fighting an evil version of Sandman, and then go to another universe, and Sandman's, like, the chillest dude in the world, with kicking it with Thor and Korg, playing Xbox, fighting Noob Master.
Yeah.
And I would believe it. I'd be like, okay, like, it's a different universe. This guy clearly made the right life choices.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like-
now I have a question posed for both of you. So I know DC did it. DC had the unlimited universes, and then they had Earth
Mhm.
Prime because they had the
Now you're talking about language.
yeah. Well, I mean, they've had so many catastrophic events across
Mhm.
all the multiverse timelines and all the different Earths. So they basically combined them all together. They smashed them all down, and there's Earth Prime. Now everyone that existed on each Earth, obviously like heroes died, villains died, but like now they're all together on the same planet. They don't have 38 Spider-Men. They have the one Spider-Man from the Earth that was like helping save the universe.
Right.
Do you think they're going to do that with the MCU at any point? They're going to
I
like
don't
bring
think
it all
so.
back together.
I think they'll straighten out the timeline, but I don't think you're going to get like a crisis Crisis on Infinite Earths type of a storyline, like where
Okay.
you have like Earth 2 Iron Man, Earth 36 Captain America, Earth 54 Hulk. Like, I don't think it's going to be like, hey, we know who these characters are, but they're all from different universes. I think if anything, they'll fix themselves and it'll be kind of like a No Way Home. Like everyone will go back to their own.
Okay, that's fair.
Like it, like basically it'll be undone. Like in
Yeah.
DC, it couldn't be undone. Like the realities were destroyed.
Yeah,
Which I guess
the
in
planets were
because
blowing up or whatever.
right, and I'd have to go back and double check, but I don't think DC really has a character similar to the Watcher who can like rewrite
Okay.
galaxies and stuff. Because like in the MCU, it could be like, oh, all that shit got destroyed. Oh, the Watchers just get together and fix it. Like, you know, I mean, like you could come up with a story like that. What
Yeah.
I think, so I think it'll be more like what the Flash is gonna be. Like you're gonna get both you're gonna get Batfleck and you're gonna get my God, I'm blanking. Tombs. Fuck's his name? Michael Keaton.
There you go.
There it is. You get both of them, but eventually I think they're gonna go back to their own timelines. I think that's
Okay.
gonna follow more of like a Flashpoint paradox storyline, which Steve, you already know. If they do, I will probably die a happy man. That day.
I literally have my picture of Flash and Reverse Flash sitting right here. I'm so excited for that.
But I think that's the way, me personally, I'm sorry for taking up like all the mic time right this second, but that's me. I don't think we're going to get a smorgasbord of heroes. I think like if they were dead in that timeline, they'll stay in that timeline and they'll just go back to their own individual ones.
Okay. Because I have seen fan theories about bringing in a multiverse Tony Stark, even just like for the Multiverse of Madness, like they're either going to reference it or he's going to exist at some point. It's not going to be Robert Downey Jr. It's just going to be another guy that is Iron Man. Also, now that you brought up Flashpoint, how did you guys feel about the Flashpoint drop in No Way Home? Just real quick, touching on that. Definitely should have done that in the No Way Home episode, but Flash Thompson has a book called Flashpoint. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I'm really hoping. I'm sorry, like that's Flash Thompson's like my least favorite character.
I hate him
across all comic book movies and anything like. And
did you prefer Joe Manganiello?
I mean,
that's Flash Thompson. I mean, he eventually becomes Deathstroke.
He looked like a 30-year-old beating up high school kids, but I really did.
30's generous, very generous.
But for me, I don't know. I'm just at that point to where I'm like, you know, they need to just kill old Flash Thompson.
Well, so in this Flash Thompson is more of, I mean, so he's more of a nerd in this than anything else. Like he's not like a sports superstar. I don't know what the hell was going on with his hair in this iteration of it.
He's just like a cloud seeker.
Yeah, like a blonde streaks and like a that 2003 emo comb over looking.
My problem is like I'm okay if you don't make him like the jock, but he's still like a super confident like alpha male, and they're just not making him that kind of a character. No. He's more of like a fanboy, like he's like I'm Spider-Man's best friend, and then like they're having the argument. He's like, I'll swing you to school for a week. He's like, make it 3. He's like, 11 days. Like,
yeah, I thought that was interesting that you brought up Flashpoint. It just kind of picked that emotion in my mind. But yeah, I mean, as far as the Multiverse of Madness goes and Quantum Mania and all of the future for at least Phase 4,
Mania would be the one that would fix everything.
Yeah, I mean,
or I guess make it 10 times worse.
Dude, I don't think they're gonna fix it for a while. They're getting people like us to talk about these stories. I think there's gonna be like timeline malfunctions for the next 10 years just to get the X-Men in, and it's just the excuse to get everyone in there, I think.
So what would you guys want to see be like an outcome out of this? Like what would make you like really excited if there was like an ending post-credit scene that was like boom, like your post-credit scene for this movie? Like how would you run it?
Go ahead, Steve. You go first.
No. Go ahead, Sal. I got one. It's not even really like a post-credit scene. It's just a cameo.
But either way, if you were going to set up something that you would be excited for in the future using this movie, how would you do it?
Give me a post-credit scene of like, walking in a bar or walking somewhere where you don't recognize anyone and you see like the Gambit's card, or like give me like I don't want a Wolverine claw. It's too cliche. Give me like a Beast something or something X-Men related to where like the OG fans will go absolutely insane. Like if I see a card flying through the air that does something, or like you get like a Deadpool kind of Maybe Deadpool swings on in this one, something like that. Give me something X-Men.
So
Okay.
how would you feel if it was something like whoever walks into like the bar, you don't see the Gambit card, but you see like a poker game going on to the left, and you're walking towards the bar, and you just see like kind of like a hulky shorter dude just with a leather jacket and the hair. You don't see the claws. It just cuts to black.
That's 10 out of 10, a perfect post-credit scene.
Just because you said Gambit and you said bar, the first thing that came to my mind was guys playing darts and the card hits the dartboard. Like,
like splitting the board, splitting the dart.
The dart hits the bullseye and the card sticks in the back of the dart.
So I'm saying like that would be insane.
And real quick, I'll tell you what, X-Men over the years, as everyone knows, notoriously just a bad rap, right?
Oh yeah.
This is the perfect time to break him in, man. Everyone's riding high on the Spider-Man. Like I said, 1 billion sales already, like 9 days in. Doctor Strange is good. I think going to be another absolute hit. Ride the high. Give me an X-Men. I think it's green lighted.
Absolutely. So for me, now my perfect cameo would be Robert Downey Jr. Obviously, but a realistic expectation for this is Dr. Stephen Strange meeting up with another very well-known doctor in the Marvel Universe. Not Bruce Banner, but the man from the Fantastic Four. Can we, I mean, I heard it's going to be John Krasinski. I would love John Krasinski to be in there, but like the Fantastic Four has already been confirmed. What better way to like welcome them in than to give them even a brief? Again, I think the X-Men post-credit scene would be fucking amazing. That would be like wild as shit. But I know that we already have a confirmed Fantastic Four show, movie, something that's going on in the MCU. So I think if we had even, again, before the accident happens, my other issue with so to bounce off of that in the other direction, can we not do a fucking Fantastic Four, like their origin? I don't need to
please,
know.
God, no. Kevin, if you're listening, no origin, make it like Spider-Man, how he's already bit with the spider. Make them already have the powers. Just callbacks to the accident, please. Yes. I'm begging you.
Because they really fucked that up with like Michael B. Jordan. I get it, but that movie was so slow until the last like 10 minutes when Doctor Doom came out of nowhere and was like a melted form of what Doctor Doom kind of is. It was weird. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of it. Like I watched that entire movie, and the entire time I'm watching it, I'm like, fuck, dude, like this and Green Lantern might be the fucking worst superhero movies, and Steel.
And on top of that, I don't know if you guys remember, you probably do, because you probably just as pissed as I was. No after credit scene.
Oh yeah.
Terrible. How are we doing this? Come on, Fox. What are you doing?
Terrible. And that's just it. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but like Fox, just stop. Just give up the rights. Let someone do it correctly. I don't care if you got to sign a contract with Disney that they give you like 10%, but you're not doing yourself any justice. Like, for fuck's sake, man. Spider-Man made $1 billion. Let Fox make a fucking Spider-Man movie and watch how that shit flops.
Well, don't forget too, we don't know who bought Avengers Tower yet.
Yeah, and that could be a callback to Loki.
Four. Yeah. It could be Fisk. It could be what's it called? Kang.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Kang.
You think it's gonna be Kang?
Well, I mean they're doing Loki, a very good job of the callback to it.
Right. No, in Loki they did, but that's why I'm saying, like in Spider-Man Far From Home, he flies through the atrium. But like we don't see anything else. So I mean, they're playing that one close to the chest. I personally think it's Fantastic Four.
When do we have She-Hulk coming out? When does that drop? Is that 2022?
Yeah, that's next year, I believe.
I feel like, not many people like Hulk as like a, that's not their first superhero go-to. This is my favorite, I feel like they're going to shed some light on make Hulk back to be like a beast. And obviously Ruffalo is an amazing actor. I think that post-credit scene might shed some light too into this whole multiverse thing.
So something that I would love to see out of the She-Hulk series, and I doubt they'll do it because they're too big of pussies, to be honest. But I would love to see them make Hulk the villain. and like truly making the villain. Give us World Breaker Hulk that is literally like just out destroying universes, and make her have to stop him.
Yeah, no, I think that would be
give
awesome.
like we don't, obviously he doesn't have to be like out in space, but give us that tier of a Hulk. For once, don't restrict his fucking powers.
So
isn't he already back to just being Banner? Right.
So right now he's Dr. Hulk.
Yeah.
As far as I know, because I don't know when this series takes place.
Okay, right. Because didn't we see a post-credit scene of something where he was back to Banner?
I don't think so. I could be wrong.
So in Shang-Chi, it looked like he was just Banner, but I think Shang-Chi was before the merge.
Right.
Like, I think Shang-Chi's like right after the blip, it seems, because she's talking to
Wong?
No, the one that we fucking hate.
That narrows it down. Oh, Captain Marvel?
Yes, Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner. So that's where I'm thinking that's more in the kind of like Endgame timeline, like, you know, like when they're having the meeting, you know how they're having the meeting and all the holograms, like they had,
right. So post Infinity War, pre Endgame kind of thing,
or at least not pre Endgame, but the Endgame timeline is where I'm thinking that post credit scene was from, because he hadn't. Well, was he one of the ones talking, or was he just off on his own at that point? Because the reveal was in Endgame that he was Dr. Hulk.
See, and that's the biggest issue that I have even having these conversations is like, there has been so much shit that's happened in the past 13 years to try to like keep it mentally in order in my brain is like fucking is groundbreaking.
And then they go and just destroy the timeline on top of all that.
Yeah. So okay, we're gonna release all of this shit not in order. First of all, it's not in order when they're releasing it. So like you can't even say like Iron Man was years after Captain Marvel, Captain America, like all this other shit. So you're like, I think it was this, but like it also could have just been like it happened physically in our world prior to that, or maybe it was after this. Who knows?
So literally they released WandaVision, which is like 6 months after the blip. Then they released Black Widow, which is right after Civil War.
Yeah, so you're like all over the fucking thing.
I'm learning Scarlet Witch. I'm learning Scarlet Witch's origin after she already's dead. Mm-hmm. like you killed this woman before you told me how she came to be. Like,
so now we did talk about this in the Scarlet or Black Widow versus what the fuck Talia al Ghul episode. Technically, Marvel could bring. Now they're not going to bring back Scarlett Johansson because, well, you know, you don't.
They apparently patched things up.
Did they? Okay, well, I mean, that's cool.
I've read.
I'm happy.
I've read they're on civil terms,
but technically, there is like a fucking freezer full of Scarlett Johanssons that are all technically endowed with the super soldier serum, and they just cloned her a million times, and like that is the actual Black Widow, and that's why she's like one of the most deadly people, similar to Winter Soldier, except they just froze one Winter Soldier, and that, I mean, that's a whole I've been reading like so many theories.
They kept all the Winter Soldiers first, and they would just only activate them one by one for the task. That way it was never the same one. You would only see the same Winter Soldier once like every decade.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, you know, Bucky's one of the most deadly people in the MCU, even though he's got a conscience now and his body is slowly starting to deteriorate because he doesn't have cryotherapy every like 35 minutes for 12 years at a time. He goes out, kills somebody, comes back an hour later, and they're like, all right, sit in this ice bucket for, 20 years. We'll call you back when we need you.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm really excited, and I'm also really nervous because it's like, it's Marvel, so we know they got the money to do what they need to do. But the question is, will they spend the money to do what they need to do with these?
I mean, I think they're going to spend the money they have to, but I think again, my nerves come strictly from the fact that it's uncharted territory. Like none of us know. Like we barely even know the time travel thing, and even in Endgame, like they made the joke, like no one really knows how time travel. Like, is it this way? Is it this way? Is it Back to the Future? Like we don't really know. There's a million different ways that people have explained time travel throughout history.
Well, they specifically say it's not.
I know. But I'm just saying, like the understanding that like everyone has is one way, and so we don't really know about multiverses except what we've already been told by either scientists in our universe or other cartoons, movies, etc. Like, so we're not sure where Marvel's going with this shit, and that's
That's the fun of
dark
it.
waters. Yeah, well, I mean, it is the fun of it, but it's also like you said, do it right, or you could potentially fuck it all up. So, Sal, what do you got for us as far as what are your hopes for the next, we'll say 6 months for Marvel?
6 months. So what do we got? So in that time, it's what?
Multiverse of
Doctor
Madness.
Strange, Morbius. We have any T shows thrown in there or no?
We might have Moon Knight, She-Hulk.
Oh yeah, Moon Knight or She-Hulk. So listen, I don't want too much. All right. They just gave me so much with Spider-Man, and I know that Marvel's balancing the slippery slope of give the fans what they want, but let's get some longevity because Endgame just ended. We need to span out, the next 15 years accordingly. I think give me some I need some X-Men MCU confirmation.
Okay.
I would like some understanding as to what's going on with the timeline. And then lastly, you said it, give me a reference to Fantastic Four.
Okay.
One of the three, and I'm a happy guy.
I'm in for all of that. Mark?
So obviously, like you guys know, I'm more of a DC guy, but as far as what Marvel's doing right now, like Marvel's doing a lot of the right stuff. And really, I just want to see where they go with it. Like there's a lot of holes and a lot of different media with them between What If, between all the TV shows, Loki, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, like there's a lot of storylines that we're getting, and like you said, Steve, like they're not necessarily all in the same order, but as far as the original TV shows that started this phase, I feel like all of them were within the same year, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty
Because
close.
WandaVision was like 6 months after the blip, and then Falcon Winter Soldier was like 9 months or something like that after the blip. So that's like almost coincidingly and directly after WandaVision. Loki
Well, they
literally
referenced it
happened
too.
all through the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
and I'm not saying like phase 4 is pretty compact so far, but it's still like just trying to keep the last 13 years.
for me, I would want them to mainly focus on the time split and Kang.
Okay.
Like for me, that's my biggest fear is don't branch out like I was saying earlier. You just introduced Kingpin. You still have Mordo roaming around. You have all these villains that could be threats. I think you need to stick to the same thing you stuck to kind of in the earlier phases. You have all these littler threats with the one big looming one. You had Thanos out there, and you don't know what the dude's doing, and that's kind of what I think that they need to do here. Don't show us what Kang's doing. Just have him come and be an unstoppable force.
But what if Kang is the little one and it's Galactus?
But see, I wouldn't like that because I feel like for this to work, I feel like Galactus, number one, is something you can't really introduce until you have a Fantastic Four.
Well, but I'm saying, what if?
But
so I mean, the same thing could be said about Thanos. Like he wasn't ready until all of the Infinity Stones were introduced.
Right.
So maybe Galactus is there, and we're slowly like working our way. I mean, Fantastic Four has been confirmed, so like it's something. A Silver Surfer could even be on the horizon for us. Like we're all over the place right now.
And that's what I mean. I'm not saying don't give me Galactus. I'm saying if you're going to do it that way, because we do have the Guardians and Thor out in space. Plus, Captain Marvel's apparently getting another movie or something.
God, all fucking mighty.
But it's one of those things where if you're going to do that kind of a threat, I wouldn't do Galactus and Kang because you're taking two power hitters out. Why wouldn't you save one for phase 5, use one in phase 4, and then you keep a smaller earthbound big bad like a Wilson Fisk and Kang this series or this phase would be your big bad. So you got Wilson Fisk, who's a beatable foe, but I mean the dude's a tank. And then you got Kang, who's next to like impossible to beat, and that could be space and time. Then next year or the next phase, when we have an established Fantastic Four, when we possibly have X-Men, when we possibly have a Silver Surfer, all these other characters that play into the Galactus storyline, then you give me maybe a Galactus and a Doctor Doom duo. something along those kind of lines. That's how I would play it.
Okay.
I just feel like Kang and him are just too big. That would be like doing like Dark Side and like Doomsday at the same time. Like,
I respect.
I like the two Sith theory you got going on. I like that.
Yeah, because I mean that's kind of what they did here. You had the Winter Soldier, but while they were fighting the Winter Soldier, you had Thanos, where you had Lumen out there. We were getting post-credit scenes and kind of seeing like what he was doing. But we knew he was a threat, but we didn't know how big of a threat. Like Loki set up his variant to be an all-killing, all-knowing powerhouse. Like he said, you can deal with me or you can see what comes next. And I think that was all the intro you needed for that character. You don't need anything else. Just give us bits and pieces here. Show me, in the quantum realm, show me maybe his little pocket dimension where he lives in his thing. Like, show me maybe a post-credit scene where you get a little glimpse. But I mean, they ended Loki looking up at a towering statue of their now timeline conqueror.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, that's your big bad. Like, you have established that is the threat that we should be worrying about. Now, the question is, what are the threats that we can kind of have to worry about?
Sure. I absolutely agree with that. And again, I'm not trying to like overcrowd the bad guy game here. I just felt like the next plausible person was Galactus. But I mean, I'm cool with Kang. Like if we do Kang because of Quantum Mania, or he's going to get introduced like big time in, and not the Loki Kang that we got to meet, like, the what the fuck's his name? He Who Remains. I mean, we're going to get like an actual conqueror, a conqueror of worlds and universes. So, I'm completely cool with that.
How about you, Sal? What do you think?
With what? Like with the bad guy thing? I think they're doing it great. I mean, Thanos, he was in Guardians, right? It was his first drop when he first came in.
Was Guardians before Avengers? Because wasn't it Avengers?
No, it was Avengers because it was him. It was
The
a post-credit
original
scene from the original Avengers. I mean, it was a different look.
But it was definitely him.
Oh, right.
He stands up and he's like, I guess if you're going to get something done, you have to do it yourself.
No,
And
that was Ultron. That was
Age of
Ultron.
Ultron?
Yeah.
So
I think it
thought
was
that
Guardians. Or either, okay. So regardless, we got
But yes.
you got Ultron after credit scene, Guardians after credit scene, and he's looming. You said it perfectly. Hit the nail on the head. He's looming. He's a big bad, but you don't know what he's doing for like 7 or 8 movies. Give me that. Let me still be worried about Kang while we're dealing with the Fisks and the, I don't want to say this too loud, Mephistos. And so I think they're doing it good. I hope they just keep it looming. Don't give me any answers. Maybe give me like a call back to it. Maybe a name drop, something small. Okay. Maybe like his right-hand man, henchman, somewhere down the line, maybe in one of the November, December movies, like talking about how he's angry or something, this, that, the third. I think they're on pace to be really good. And I like the looming aspect because it makes you afraid. So.
Because the thing I think that they're doing well is they're letting you forget about Kang enough that when he comes back, you're like, oh shit, like I didn't even think that was happening. And that's what I enjoy out of these. It's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, like you see Thanos, but then there's a couple of other post-credit scenes that have nothing to do with Thanos. And then you get another Thanos one and you're like, oh my God, I forgot he was out there.
Yep.
And I feel like they need to really step up their game though to keep that energy where it's at. Because I mean, they came out heavy after the Spider-Man movie, and Doctor Strange, like just hype-wise, has a lot to live up to. Like,
yeah.
So we'll see. I'm excited to see where the MCU goes, though, because I feel like they could do it very, very well. And I feel like you said, Steve, it's uncharted waters, so they really don't have a handbook. So knowing Kevin Feige and knowing all that whole writing team, they're gonna throw stuff at us, and I'm ready for it.
I'll tell you what, for not having a handbook, these guys are doing real fucking well. I could not put together an IKEA dresser without a fucking instruction manual. So, Sal, thank you so much for joining us, man. You were always welcome on our show. Thank you for being a longtime listener. Dude, if there's ever anything you want to talk about, please feel free to reach out and we'll gladly have you back on.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate being on the show, man. And like I said, listening for, pretty much probably a year and a half now at this point. I listen to all the theories and I'm thinking about theories in my head. I'm like, you know what? And then I'm like, you texted me, I'm texting you. It's awesome. And I really appreciate the time, man. It's been a blast.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. Mark, you got anything to wrap everything up here?
Nah, just Sal, if there's any way that, you know, our listeners can reach out to you, or if there's any way you want them to check you out or anything, let them know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm on Twitter at Salrock _ and same with Twitch. I'm just classic video game nerd and sports fanatic. So
Absolutely. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for listening to us. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Something Super Podcast, at SS Podcast 52 on Twitter. We are on all of your major streaming apps. Anchor, thank you so much for hosting us. Lastly, I'm Steve.
Mark.
and I'm Sal.
We'll catch you guys next week.
Peace.